You're a unicorn, you're a unicorn, everyone's a unicorn. Hello and welcome to Tech This Week. The big story, or rather stories this week, have been the deluge of unicorn valuation declarations. Coming up in today's episode, we'll take a stock of unicorn sightings in India versus other comparable markets globally. And in the light of the same, online brokerage firm Zerodha and fintech fund and incubator Rain Matters founder Nikitin Kamath joins us to talk about the possible requirements or rationales behind raising humongous funds in the current startups and venture capital landscape. Later in the episode, my colleague Debangana Ghosh sets a tone on this week's social media faux pas that had the Twitterati associate budget hotels aggregator Oyo to bankruptcy. But first, here are the top headlines from the week. Byju's marked its formal foray into the offline test prep market on Monday with the acquisition of Aakash Educational Services. Now, terming the acquisition as a strategic partnership, the EdTech Decacon said that Aakash would continue to operate as an independent entity and further investments would be made in the Bangalore-based startup to accelerate its growth. A person directly aware of the transaction told Tech Circle that Byju's clocked the cash and stock deal at nearly $950 million. In a boost to digital payments adoption, the Reserve Bank of India on Wednesday extended membership of its centralized payment systems or CPS for RTGS and NEFT payments to non-bank payment system operators. Membership, currently limited to banks, is aimed at minimizing settlement risk in the financial system, enhance the reach of digital financial services to all user segments. And the central bank also proposed to make interoperability mandatory for full KYC PPIs and for all payment acceptance infrastructure. Speaking of fintech, India carried out payments across nearly 2.79 billion transactions, totaling over 5.09 of trillions or lakh crores of rupees using UPI in March as per NPCI data. PhonePe led the apps in terms of transaction value, followed by Google Pay, Paytm Payments Bank app. Then there was Beam, Cred, Yes Bank apps, Amazon Pay, ICICI Bank apps, and State Bank of India apps. Moving on, food delivery platform Swiggy has raised around $800 million in a new funding round. Falcon Edge Capital, Goldman Sachs, Think Capital, Amansa Capital, Carmignac have also reportedly joined in the round as new investors. Existing investors, Process Ventures and Axel, also participated in the round, and the latest fundraise was done at a valuation close to $5 billion. Shifting gears to the world of enterprise tech, IT major Infosys said it entered into a long-term partnership with Luxembourg-based steel and mining company ArcelorMittal. ArcelorMittal chose the Bengaluru-based Infosys to accelerate its digital transformation journey, enable next-generation application management and business process management services, as per a statement. Now, the $12.8 billion company is set to report its fourth quarter results on April 14th. And post third quarter client signups, Infosys had announced several projects with Denver, Colorado-based mining company Newmont, Wichita, Kansas-based aerostructures manufacturer Spirit Aerosystems, Zumudo, Biscay-based renewable energy giant Siemens Gamesa Renewable Energy, Ireland-based smart building solution provider Johnson Controls, and Mercedes-Benz maker Daimler. Speaking of IT majors, continuing its 2021 buying spree, global technology services and consulting major Accenture has announced the acquisition of cloud analytics firm Core Compete. Core Compete, founded in 2012, has built its reputation by driving digital transformations with cloud-native solutions that deliver artificial intelligence and machine learning-infused business outcomes. The move fits well into Accenture's shopping strategy so far in 2021. The company has aggressively acquired several firms 14 since January 2021 and 63 since 2019. But why? Read up our feature on the strategy so far. Moving on to our special coverage on this episode, this 1 week alone saw the emergence of more unicorns than my one hand could count on its fingers. As per CB Insights data, as of April 9th, the world is over 635 unicorns with a total cumulative valuation of about 2,110 billion US dollars. In CB Insights' complete list of unicorn companies, India is home to 30 unicorns compared to US, which is home to well over 300 of them, and China to well over 200. Now, it's important to remember that the US count also includes startups that are homegrown here in India. Anyway, to catch up, India this 1 week alone had mega fundraise announcements in declaration of unicorn statuses. In the club were social commerce startup Meesho, online pharmacy Pharmeasy, credit card bill-based rewards marketplace Cred, Mohalla Tech, which is the parent operator of vernacular social media startup ShareChat, and short video app Moj, messaging services company Gupshup, and wealth management and online brokerage firm Grow. Joining in conversation is Zerodha founder and CEO Nitin Kamath to offer us a fresh perspective in the current context and to set a tone on what manner of change that the Indian technology startup ecosystem is currently going through and it's relevant on a long-term basis. Hi Nitin, thank you for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me on this.
This week has been filled with on-your-face press releases having startups flaunt their unicorn statuses. And then there's profitable zero debt Zerodha, who took 10 years to turn into a mythical horse, which is a rare sighting on its own merit. With this context at place and with the context of your recent tweet on pretty much expressing frustration over all these investors reaching out to you for money or for funding that you don't need, what are your sense? What is your macro take on the significance of this reduced timing taken to unicorn trend? And also because you invest through Rainmatter, also what's your take on the relevant risks over business sustenance in the long run VC game?
Right. No, I mean, see, firstly, the tweet isn't really frustration. I think what's happening right now is there's a lot of pressure on a lot of founders to go, because everyone's kind of judging their success based on how much money they've raised, at what value, and etc. So I think it's important for folks like us, who built a business in a different way, to come out and kind of put it out there, saying it isn't really, just the unicorn or whatever isn't really, what business is all about, right? As in, there is a different angle to it, and raising funding incrementally just improves the odds of succeeding just by a tiny bit of amount, right? As in, and that raising funds alone isn't equal to building a successful, sustainable business, right? As in, so essentially that's what I was trying to convey, and not really frustration as such. Like I've mentioned in those tweets, right? I think, see, in today's world, you need to have some kind of an edge to build a business, and either you have deep pockets. So if you get into this business of raising funds and then spending it or growing fast, it's a different way of building businesses. There are great businesses built that way, but it comes with a lot of pressure, right? As in, because if a VC is valuing you at $1 billion, he's expecting you to grow at a certain pace, right? And not every business can actually grow at that pace, right? So it adds up, adding a lot of pressure to the founders. So I think in this whole noise of unicorns and funding and etc., I think that one of the main reasons for all of this happening is just excess liquidity in the entire ecosystem around the world, right? And it's just, there's so much money getting printed in the US and being sent out, so it's just finding ways to all parts of the world. So I think what people have to remember is that this is this is not going to last forever, and then eventually you'll have to build a business that's sustainable. And so that's what I think about this.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and time with us, Nitin. Moving on, after 2 eventful weekdays in the startup ecosystem, a major acquisition, and a couple of unicorns here and there, Wednesday seemed like a slow day until noon when Twitter began buzzing with news that Ahmedabad-based Oyo Hotels and Homes has filed for bankruptcy. Now, founder and CEO Ritesh Agarwal quickly took to Twitter and went on to clarify in an official statement saying that the alleged bankruptcy is completely untrue and inaccurate. My colleague Debangana Ghosh, who stayed on top of all the details, joins in to explain.
Hi, Debangana. How's it going?
Yay, end of a rather exciting week, but then again it's weekend, so yay.
Yeah. Now with Oyo, help us with the details. What exactly has happened so far?
So it was a bit chaotic and funny to say the least. I mean, that's what I found it to be. So exactly what happened is the National Company Law Tribunal had put up a petition initiating insolvency of an Ahmedabad-based subsidiary of Oyo, which is called Oyo Hotels and Homes, for not paying 16 lakh rupees to an unnamed petitioner, most likely a hotel owner in this case. We still don't know the claimant's name, so to say. On Wednesday, this notice started floating on Twitter. Several users shared this and started deciphering the notice to be Oyo's filing for bankruptcy. This did create a lot of chaos. I immediately had to reach out to the company for a statement, check Oyo's filing on MCA and other websites to confirm and get a hold of what's exactly happening. It obviously came as a shock. I mean, few days back, we were writing about how Oyo is sort of recovering from what it had faced during the pandemic and how demand has started coming in. So, but then this happened suddenly, and obviously everything was abuzz. Then within an hour, Oyo's founder and group CEO Ritesh Agarwal gave his statement over a chain of tweets. He mentioned that the capital was already paid up, but in protest, and the case was still going on. And he also added that the company has been witnessing a steady recovery in demand from the pandemic loss.
What's been the update after that?
Yes, the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal hearing happened yesterday, which ordered a stay on the previous NCLT Ahmedabad bench decision on the formation of the Committee of Creditors in the insolvency and bankruptcy court proceedings.
Right. And has Oyo been into similar troubles with hotel partners in the past?
You're right, Supriya. The company has been very much the controversy's child. Hotel partners have often complained about the non-payment of dues and predatory contract models. Last year, Oyo had to move to a common contract model of revenue sharing basis with all the hotels to continue its business. And Oyo has often been at loggerheads with the Federation of Hotel and Restaurant Association of India.
Okay. So it's yet to be seen how controversy's favorite child, like you put it, has to deal with all these dues across India's courts. Great. Thank you so much for your time and thoughts, Debangana, on this explainer. And that's a wrap on this episode of Tech This Week. Log into techcircle.in for more news and updates. Goodbye.